She said, "I'm an independent woman. I don't need a man." I replied, "I admire your strength." I then canceled the joint credit card, removed her from my phone plan, and took my name off the lease. She discovered just how independent she was about to become.
Hi viewers, thanks for stopping by. If you've been watching the channel for a while and still haven't subscribed, now's a great time. Let's get into the story.
My girlfriend of 3 years, Megan, loved to talk about her independence. It was the cornerstone of her personality, the central theme of her social media presence, the rallying cry she brought up in any and every conversation. She was, in her own words, a strong, independent woman who doesn't need a man. And for a long time, I thought I admired that about her. I see now that I wasn't admiring her strength, I was just funding it. We lived in a great apartment downtown with a view of the city. We went out to nice dinners, took weekend trips, and lived a very comfortable life. The architecture of that life, however, was built on a foundation I had provided. I'm a project manager for a large tech firm. I make a very good living. Megan was a freelance graphic designer, a career that was, to put it charitably, inconsistent. Some months she did well, other months she made next to nothing. I never had a problem with that. I believed we were a team, so I put her on my phone plan, the one with unlimited everything that my company subsidizes. I added her as an authorized user to my primary credit card, the one with the high limit and the great travel rewards. And when we moved into our apartment, we both signed the lease, a joint agreement, but the security deposit and the first month's rent came directly from my savings. I paid the lion's share of the rent every month, about 80%, and she would chip in her 20% when she had a good month. I handled all the utilities. I didn't see this as her being dependent. I saw it as me supporting my partner's dream. I was providing the stable base from which she could launch her freelance career. My mistake was not realizing that she saw my support not as a partnership, but as an entitlement, a service she was owed. Her independence was a performance. She would post online about being a girl boss and a self-made woman, often from a cafe where she was paying for a $5 latte with the joint credit card I paid the bill for. She would talk to her friends about the importance of female financial empowerment, all while using the unlimited data on the phone plan I provided. The hypocrisy was a low, constant hum in the background of our life, but I ignored it. I loved her. But the hum grew louder over the last 6 months. She became more demanding, more critical. My support was no longer enough, it was expected. And any suggestion that we were a team with shared responsibilities was met with a strange, defensive anger. The breaking point, the moment the entire flimsy structure of our relationship came crashing down, happened last Tuesday. It wasn't a dramatic fight. It was a simple, quiet conversation about finances. I had just received a large bonus from work. I was excited. I told her I wanted to put the entire amount into a high-yield savings account, a fund for a future down payment on a house. She looked at me, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes. "A house," she said. "That's so boring. I was thinking we could finally take that trip to Greece this summer." I tried to be reasonable. "We can, Megan," I said. "But this bonus is a huge opportunity for our future. If we just save it, we'll be in a much better position in a year or two." "Our future?" she said, and the way she said the word "our" made it sound like a dirty word. "I have my own future to think about, Mark. I'm not just an extension of you." I was confused. "I know that. This is for both of us. It's a team goal." And that's when she stood up and delivered the speech, the one that had been brewing under the surface for months. "No, you don't get it," she said, her voice full of a kind of righteous, rehearsed passion. "I am an independent woman. I don't need a man to save for a house for me. My success is not tied to your bank account. I don't need you. I don't need anyone." She was standing in an apartment I paid for, holding a phone that was on my plan, with a wallet that contained my credit card, and telling me that she didn't need a man. The hypocrisy was so perfect, so complete, that I didn't even feel angry. I felt a strange sense of clarity. She wasn't my partner. She was a tenant who had mistaken her landlord for a soulmate. I looked at her, at the fierce, proud look on her face. She expected me to argue, to feel threatened by her declaration of independence. She thought she was making a powerful statement, and she was. She was just making a very different one than she intended. I didn't argue, I just nodded slowly, a calm, understanding smile on my face. "You're right, Megan," I said, my voice quiet and even. "I admire your strength." The fight went out of her instantly, replaced by a smug satisfaction. She thought she had put me in my place. "I'm glad you finally understand," she said. "I do," I replied. "I understand completely." And I did. I understood that she didn't want a partner. She wanted a patron, and I was officially resigning from the position. She had just declared her independence. My only job now was to help her achieve it in the most literal, comprehensive way possible. For the next 2 days, I was a ghost in our apartment. I was polite, I was agreeable, but I was emotionally gone. Megan was basking in the glow of her perceived victory. She was more confident than ever, completely unaware that the vast, invisible support network that held up her life was about to be systematically dismantled. She had given me the perfect justification for what I was about to do. I wasn't breaking up with her out of anger. I was simply honoring her stated wishes. I was facilitating her journey to the complete and total independence she so desperately claimed she wanted. But before I started cutting the cords, I needed to do one final audit. I needed to understand the full scope of the system I was about to decommission. I had a nagging feeling that her hypocrisy ran deeper than just her lifestyle expenses. On Thursday night, she went out for another one of her networking dinners. As soon as she was gone, I sat down at my desk and opened the one account I had access to that she probably thought I never looked at: the detailed, itemized statement for our joint credit card. I wasn't looking for small, frivolous purchases. I was looking for patterns. I downloaded the last 6 months of statements and imported them into a spreadsheet. I started categorizing the expenses. My charges were simple: groceries, gas, our shared utility bills that I paid with the card. Her charges were a different story. There were hundreds of them. Lunches at expensive cafes, clothes from high-end boutiques, charges for ride-sharing services all over the city. And then I found the anomaly. A recurring charge. Once a week, for the past 4 months, there was a charge for exactly $150 from a high-end spa and hotel on the other side of town. The charge was always on a Tuesday afternoon, a time she was supposed to be meeting with clients. $150 was the exact price of their afternoon delight package. A 60-minute deep tissue massage, followed by 2 hours of private access to a suite with a sauna and a steam room. It was a package explicitly designed for 2 people. My heart didn't break. It just went cold and hard. It wasn't just hypocrisy anymore. It was a betrayal, funded by me. She was using the financial freedom I provided to facilitate her affair. My support wasn't just funding her lifestyle, it was funding her lies. The final piece of confirmation was almost too easy. I went to the spa's website. They had a Meet Our Therapists page, and there he was. A handsome, smiling massage therapist named Leo. His bio mentioned he specialized in deep tissue and couples massage. His social media link was right there. I clicked it. His profile was public, and his pictures were full of a proud, independent woman named Megan, who he referred to in his captions as his amazing girlfriend. There were pictures of them on dates, at parties, on a weekend trip to a winery I had paid for with the card's travel points. I spent the next hour documenting everything. I took screenshots of the credit card statements, highlighting the recurring spa charges. I took screenshots of Leo's social media profile, of the pictures of them together, of the loving captions. I saved everything to a secure folder. The audit was complete. The numbers didn't lie. She wasn't just an independent woman who didn't need a man. She was a woman who needed one man to pay for her life, while she was sleeping with another. I closed my laptop. The time for analysis was over. The time for action had begun. The next morning, Friday, was the beginning of Megan's new independent life. She just didn't know it yet. She left for work, giving me a quick, condescending kiss on the cheek, completely oblivious. As soon as the door closed behind her, I began to systematically dismantle the infrastructure of the life she knew. I thought of it as a 3-phase decommissioning process. Phase 1, the financial cutoff. My first call was to the credit card company. I informed them that I wanted to close the joint account immediately and that my authorized user, Megan, was to be removed. The representative was helpful. She told me that since I was the primary account holder, I could have Megan's card deactivated instantly. So to be clear, I said. Her card will be declined if she tries to use it starting right now? Yes, sir, the representative replied. It's already done. I felt a grim sense of satisfaction. The first pillar of her fake independence had been removed. Phase 2, the communications blackout. My next call was to our mobile phone provider. I explained that I wanted to make a change to my family plan. I wanted to remove one of the lines. The process was simple. Since the account was in my name, I had full control. I had her line disconnected, not suspended, disconnected. Her number, the one she used for her business, was gone. Her access to the unlimited data she burned through every month was gone. The second pillar had crumbled. Phase 3, the shelter protocol. This was the final, most important step. Our lease was a joint agreement. This meant I couldn't just kick her out, and I couldn't just move out and leave her with the bill. We were both legally tied to that apartment for the next 6 months. But the lease, which I had read so carefully, had a clause for everything, including a lease buyout option. It allowed the tenants to terminate the lease early by paying a penalty equal to 2 months' rent. I called our landlord. I explained that my partner and I were separating and that I needed to initiate the buyout clause. I told him I would be paying the entire penalty myself from my own account. All I needed was for him to draw up the paperwork, which would release both of us from any further obligation. He was happy to oblige. A broken lease was better than a tenant who couldn't pay. He emailed me the termination agreement. It required both of our signatures. This was the only part of my plan that required her participation. And I knew exactly how I was going to get it. I spent the rest of the day packing my own things. Not all of them, just the essentials. My clothes, my computer, my personal documents. I was leaving the furniture, the TV, the life we had built. I was just removing myself from the equation. I had already found a new apartment, a place that was mine and mine alone. When Megan came home that evening, I was waiting for her, sitting at the dining room table. I had the lease termination agreement and a pen laid out in front of me. "What's this?" she asked, looking at the papers. "It's our ticket to freedom," I said. "It's a lease buyout. I'm paying the penalty. All you have to do is sign, and we are both free and clear of this apartment and each other in 30 days. She was suspicious. "Why would you do that? You're just letting me off the hook?" "No," I said. "I'm honoring your independence. You said you don't need a man. You don't need me. So you don't need this apartment that I pay for. This is me, helping you on your journey. Sign it, and you can be truly, completely independent." She was so blinded by her own narrative, so convinced of her own strength, that she saw this as a victory. She saw it as me, the weak, heartbroken man, paying a fortune just to get away from her. She thought she was winning. She signed the document with a flourish. I countersigned it, took a picture of the signed agreement, and emailed it to our landlord. It was done. The final pillar had been removed. "There," I said, standing up, "you're free." I walked into the bedroom, picked up my already packed suitcase, and walked to the front door. "Where are you going?" she asked, a flicker of panic in her eyes for the first time. "I'm just giving you the space you need to be the strong, independent woman you are," I said. I walked out the door and didn't look back. The consequences of her independence did not hit all at once. They arrived in a series of small cascading failures, a slow-motion demolition of the life she took for granted. I pieced the story together from a series of increasingly frantic voicemails she left me before I finally blocked her number. Failure 1. The credit card. This happened the very next day. She was out for a celebratory brunch with her friends, no doubt telling them how she had finally gotten rid of her needy, controlling boyfriend. She went to pay the $80 bill for avocado toast and mimosas. The card was declined. She tried it again. Declined. The public humiliation of having to ask her friends to cover the bill was, I'm told, exquisite. Her first voicemail to me was a confused, angry demand to know why I had messed with her card. Failure 2. The phone. This happened 2 days later. She was in the middle of an important call with a potential graphic design client. The line went dead. She tried to call back. No service. She tried to use her data. No service. Her phone, her primary tool for her business and her social life, was a useless brick. Her second voicemail was a shriek of pure, unfiltered rage. She accused me of trying to ruin her career. Failure 3, the lease. This was the big one. A week after I left, she received a formal certified letter from our landlord. It was a 30-day notice to vacate the premises, as per the termination agreement she had willingly signed. The letter also included a bill for the full amount of the next month's rent, explaining that since I had already moved out, she was solely responsible for the final payment. This is when the true panic set in. The apartment she thought she had won was being taken away. The life she thought was hers was being liquidated. Her third voicemail was a sobbing, pleading mess. She begged me to come back, to fix it. She said she had made a terrible mistake, but it was too late. The decommissioning was complete. The systems had been shut down. It has been 3 months since I walked out that door. I am settled in my new apartment. It's smaller, but it's all mine. The silence is peaceful. The final act of this drama was a letter I received from a lawyer. Megan had actually tried to sue me. She claimed I had tricked her into signing the lease termination and that I owed her financial support. My lawyer responded with a single comprehensive package of evidence. It included the highlighted credit card statements showing the spa visits, the screenshots of her and her lover from his social media, and a signed affidavit from me detailing her declaration of independence. Her lawyer dropped the case the next day. The last I heard, Megan had to move back in with her parents. Her freelance business, without the constant support of my financial infrastructure, had crumbled. Her affair with the massage therapist ended as soon as she was no longer able to pay for their weekly sessions. She was left with nothing but her independence, a cold, lonely, and very expensive independence. She had used the language of empowerment as a shield for her own hypocrisy. She sneered at the idea of partnership while reaping all of its benefits. She wanted the freedom of being single with the financial security of being in a relationship. She wanted to have her cake and have me pay for it too. I didn't punish her. I didn't seek revenge. I simply listened to her. She said she was a strong, independent woman who didn't need a man. I admired her strength. And then I did the most supportive thing I could have possibly done. I got out of her way and let her prove it.